Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Laura. Welcome to Season 6 of Where Work Meets Life. It is hard to believe that I'm entering the 6th year of doing this podcast, and it has been such a journey, a labor of love, and Season 6 will be very exciting. I wanted to add this episode into the mix just to introduce you to what to expect in Season 6 and share a little bit about how it's gone, why I do what I do, and what I plan to bring to the world going forward. So, Season 6 of Where Work Meets Life, it coincides with the launch of my book. So, I've entered into this area of research, which I felt the world needed to hear more about. I had seen a trend with more toxic workplaces, toxic leadership, and I wanted to dive in and understand what that was all about so that I could help as many people as possible by shining a light on the issue and helping people navigate and recover from toxic leaders, as well as helping organizations to create great cultures where people thrive and to eradicate toxic leadership from those cultures. So I consider myself a workplace culture advocate or a workplace culture expert. I've been working with workplaces now for 25 years in my career as an organizational psychologist. So my book, it's to help people when they have had to deal with a toxic boss. My book is called I Wish I Would Quit Sooner. Oh, sorry. I'm making a mistake on my own book. I Wish I'd Quit Sooner. Practical strategies for navigating and escaping a toxic boss. And this book is meant for people who are currently working with a toxic boss, think they might be working for a toxic boss, are wondering if their boss is indeed toxic, and those who have left working for a toxic boss and are recovering from that horrible experience. It's also meant for the wonderful HR folks in our lives who have to navigate and deal with and mediate these types of situations. And a siren just went off because it is a situation that requires alarm bells and sirens because it's impacting people's mental health, productivity. It's costing companies billions of dollars in lost productivity, turnover, and many other factors. And not only are there the tangible, financial costs, there's the costs in people's well being. There's costs to innovation because when we're suffering under a toxic boss, we cannot innovate. So, with the launching of my book, January 13th, 2026. So look out for that. It's already available on Amazon for pre-sales. It'll be on Kindle, it'll be soft cover, and it'll be on Audible. So I will be recording that book in the coming months. But in terms of the podcast, I love talking about this topic with other experts in the realm. So I'll be talking to experts around narcissism, bullying. Those topics are ones that we need to address, and we need to shine a light on the darkness. I'm also very passionate about work-life wellness. Balance is another term for it. I don't love that term, but it's about work-life wellness, and it's about the opposite of that, which is cultures that burn people out. So as a workplace culture expert and advocate, I'm all about how we can make cultures healthy and thriving. And if we burn people out and we have a hustle culture where you work really, really hard, but we also play hard, I think it's critical to work hard. I think working hard is an important piece of the whole equation. However, we need to be recharged. People are not computers that you can leave turned on 18 hours a day with no breaks and working through all your lunches and not having any steps, any time outside. You're just working and it's hustle, and that's not sustainable long term. So I think that we need to really look at how we can have cultures where people produce and work really hard, but we also honor the vessels that they're in, their bodies and their brains and brain health. So I like to bring experts on those topics to the podcast. And on season 5, you'll have found some of those experts. And into season 6, I'll continue doing the same. My mission very much is to create thriving workplace cultures, and that's one of my pillars. So you'll see episodes that are really relevant to great leadership, creating healthy and wonderful cultures at work, and the things involved in doing that. And you'll also hear episodes around thriving humans, how we can thrive mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. I'll be incorporating soul into my conversations. And we have different episodes that get at different angles of how we incorporate soul into leadership, how we incorporate soul into work, how we incorporate soul into our career decisions, which bring me to my other pillar, which is career fulfillment. So, as a career psychologist, and I've run Canada Career Counseling now for 16 years, I founded it 16 years ago. I run it with a leadership team of terrific career psychologists, career and organizational psychologists that help workplaces thrive and help humans figure out their career transitions, figure out their purpose, their why. And that's one of my pillars, is helping to shed light on what makes a great fulfilling career and how we navigate those decisions in our lives. So I will continue to, in true Dr. Laura style, share authentically, be warm and open. I love that I can bring in the evidence and I can bring in the science of organizational psychology, but I also really want to emanate warmth. And I think there's a lot of fear in the world right now. And the only thing that can counteract fear is love. So bringing love into workplaces, love into leadership. And no, I'm not a hippy dippy. I'm talking about being compassionate. We're all on this human adventure together, and we are in a world full of curveballs, and we need to be compassionate to what one another is dealing with. So I will continue to bridge the research with the real world and the challenges facing humans and organizations. And I'll bring a diversity of guests globally. So I like to have people from different walks of life, different areas of the world, different backgrounds. I think diversity is the spice of life. And I'm going to continue doing that. I'm going to continue doing solo episodes where I bring my expertise and voice to different topics that are relatable and important. And then guests come into my sphere, and people reach out to be on the podcast. And we always like hearing from people. We're always about, does this fit with the angle and the direction of the podcast? And my podcast is a significant investment of time, and I have a whole team, and I'm very careful at curating the right types of guests and conversations. And if you have any feedback on my guests and conversations, I always love hearing that. I love it when you rate the podcast, when you do a review, and when you share it with other people who could use the info and the content. My episodes are conversations. I really like to have conversations that inspire, that uplift people, and that educate. And learning is one of my values. So if I can help you learn, then that is wonderful. And it's funny that guests seem to just come into my sphere. They come into my sphere at events, at conferences. In my keynote speaking career, I meet other keynoters who are experts on certain topics. And people just come up on LinkedIn, and people get recommended, and they just kind of flow into my universe. And we don't really have to search far and wide. People just kind of gravitate in. And I love that I've met all kinds of incredible people through this podcast. And every 2 weeks for 6 years, I've done an episode and never missed one. I mean, we stockpile episodes ahead of time, so we're always recording, and then the episode comes out a couple of months later. So that's what happens with our team. And we were actually getting too far ahead of ourselves, where in the last season, there was a few times where the episode came out 4 months after I recorded it. And I don't love that. I like to get the content out as soon as we can into the world. So that's more my priority for season 6. And I want to get the content out more widely. I have my top following is in the USA, followed by Canada, and then third place is the UK and then Australia. But the podcast is listened to all over the world. And I want to continue growing that. I want to continue getting the podcast out more widely because when people come across it, they say that's useful. And wow, you have 120 episodes about all different topics. And I can search them on the website, drlaura.live, by the different pillars of my content. So whether it's thriving humans, thriving organizations, career fulfillment, or advocating for a better world, because causes that make a difference, people who have had inspiring stories, I do like to layer that on. I do like to uplift, inspire through how we can make this difficult but beautiful world a better place. So that's some of my intentions. I couldn't do this without an insanely talented team. So I work with my EA, my assistant. So Diana, my EA, Fatima, my assistant, who just finished her undergraduate degree, and the two of them are wonderful to keep all the parts moving forward with what I'm doing with the podcast, the speaking, the book, the social media. And then I have a team that helps make the podcast actually happen. So my producer, Steve, Alex, who runs Astronomic Audio, who's been with me for a few years now. Most of the podcast's life, actually, Alex has been a part of it, and his team, Bean, who is an incredible show note writer and helps me with my newsletter. And speaking of my newsletter, once a month I have the newsletter come out, and it's the latest and greatest about the podcast, the blog, my book, other interesting topics, media. People tend to like the newsletter because it gives them the latest information to scroll through quickly and see what they might have missed and be able to easily share it with others. And I include some really good resources and tips. And I don't spam you. I promise I don't spam you. It comes out once a month. And yeah, I just want to keep growing my community and sharing information out into the world. And my team also includes Jackson, who helps with the episode flow, and then Rebecca, who is my social media guru, who helps me continue to get the podcast out into the world of social media. So you'll find me on all the platforms, basically, and you'll find the episodes on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, etc. So whether you want to watch them, listen to them, they are all there. And some of my episodes coming up in season 6. So when it comes to thriving humans, I interviewed Michael Hingson, and he is a blind man who survived World Trade Center in the bombings. He was high up in the World Trade Center, and he was with his guide dog. And it's a very, very inspiring story. And we talk about his challenges, his belief system, and how he got out of that building, and how his life has been navigating with his visual impairment, and what a big heart he has. He has a huge heart. He's so authentic and so interesting. So I'm really excited for that episode. When it comes to career fulfillment, I have episodes, coming out. One is with Laura Munson, who I went on one of her Haven Writers Retreats many years ago when I was working on my Finding Sophie book. Anyways, her latest book, and I'm holding it up for those of you on YouTube, is called The Wild Why. And it's stories and teachings to uncover your wonder. And it's just kind of getting back into that mind space of wonder. And I'm so excited. I haven't read it, but I will be reading it leading up to the podcast episode. And she is a New York Times best-selling author and someone that I've really admired. And I'm just excited to talk about that, the Wild Why, from a career fulfillment perspective. Then there's Jana Boyko, who is another really interesting guest. She wrote the Bedside Business Planner. She talks about how you can get your business plan and your idea and turn it into reality with pen to paper in a journal that really digs deep into your why and then translates it piece by piece into a business plan. So that's going to be a great episode. I'm also talking about thriving organizations with Pam Buchanan and the work that she does around bringing soul into workplaces. And she had a prolific career in the NASDAQ and working with people like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and folks like that. So she's had a lot of experience in the tech world. And then she's turned her focus to how we can bring more soul into work. And she really deals with the whole quantum physics and quantum energy and the whole connectedness and why soul is an important element of workplaces. And I agree. I think soul reminds me of mental health in terms of we used to not talk about mental health. It used to be a strange and taboo topic. Now it's more widely talked about, although not all the time. There's still workplaces that think that that doesn't belong in work or that it's fluffy. We don't want to talk about mental health. It's not fluffy. It belongs in workplaces, and we're all human beings. And just like that, we all are soul as well as this human physical form. And I think bringing the conversation about soul into work is not a religious mission. It is a mission about that's part of our humanity. So from my perspective, I think diving into the topic of soul here and there, it's going to come up, and I'm excited for that. And then we have Paul McCarthy and Mark Zettner. We're going to talk about toxic leadership. We're going to talk about why toxic leaders don't get let go, and then great leaders can get fired. And this whole notion of the span of great leadership to toxic leadership. I'm really excited because they're both, one's from the UK and the other's from Europe. And we're going to talk an open conversation about some of the similarities and differences with what's going on in North America with my Toxic Boss research and what they're up to in their books. So that'll be exciting. And then I have Jia and Jeff on an episode. And Jia produced a documentary, an award-winning documentary, and it's about Jeff's story. So he was wrongly accused of rape and murder when he was 17 years old. He was imprisoned for 16 years and until he got released and pardoned. And then he's become a lawyer helping other people get released and pardoned. But his story is so powerful, and that falls under advocating for a better world. How we can decrease the numbers of people who are wrongfully accused and imprisoned for that, and how we can really look at people's stories and some of the challenges that they've been through and weathered, and how they came out the other side of that with his belief system in making the world a better place when the world treated him so unfairly. So that episode was really, really powerful. For sure. So that's just a taste of some of what's coming up. I just can't thank everybody enough for your support of this podcast. I believe in sharing important messages. If you have ideas on episodes, if you have feedback for me, I'm always open to that. And again, I can't do this without my incredible team, and Year 6 is going to be amazing. This podcast is going to get out into a lot more places and help a lot more human lives, more organizations. And I'm wearing this rose quartz necklace I got at the National Speakers Association. We all traded some jewelry, the Power Women of NSA, it was called. Anyway, rose quartz is about unconditional love. And I want to share that love for the stories that you all have, the adventures that you all have in this life, the curveballs, the challenges, that know that you are loved and that the world is a tricky yet beautiful place. And I hope that this content on Where Work Meets Life uplifts, educates, and inspires. Stay well. Thank you for tuning in to Where Work Meets Life. If you found this content valuable, please rate, review, and share with others who may benefit. If you're struggling in your work life and need support, I offer coaching sessions. You can book a complimentary consult on my website. I'm also a passionate keynote speaker and would love to discuss your professional speaking needs. Visit my website, drlaura.live, to sign up for my monthly e-newsletter filled with tips and resources to help you stay well.